Hello and welcome to the Twilight Hunters podcast. My name is Brian Ludicky and I'm your host for the show tonight. What we did on this show was a little bit different. I actually took my equipment on the road to Virginia and did a remote show from a campfire after the last evening of our last day of the hunt. Got together with Jacob Porter and Andrew Fisher, aka Squatch, and had a conversation about the hunt, kind of what led up to it, some of the highs and lows, and kind of what some plans we have coming up for the future. Hope you enjoy the show. Please forgive some of the audio quality as we had one microphone to pass around. I just didn't have the room to bring all the equipment I wanted to bring on this trip in the plane. So, at any rate, I hope you enjoy it. It was actually a lot of fun to do from the back of a pickup out on the mountain. All right, so we're here in a nondescript location somewhere in the southern part of Virginia. I don't generally tend to give out where I'm at, what I'm doing necessarily, unless it's home, because everybody knows where I'm from. So it's really not. It's kind of hard to hide that one from people. So, but that's what we're doing. I have Jacob Porter, who's been on the show before, and I have who we lovingly refer to as Squatch. So I'll introduce you first. If you want to just tell everybody who you are, bud.
I am Andrew Fisher. I'm local to here. Grew up here all my life. I mean, grew up a farm kid along the creek, mountains around. You know, I had more interest in hunting and fishing, stuff like that, than sports along the way in my life. And I mean, it's just kind of morphed into what it is now and what we're doing, you know, all week long here, basically.
Jacob, your turn.
Well, I think anybody that's listening as a repeat knows who I am, so I'm not going to take up a lot of time. But this is home to me here in Southwest Virginia in the woods. Doesn't get much more Appalachian than sitting around a fire in the middle of the dark forest and talking into a microphone. But we all came together to hunt and spent a lot of this week together hunting deer, and it just doesn't get much better, as they say.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we spent quite a bit of time together this week. It was kind of fun. So the history behind this is that Jacob and I met 2019.
21. It's February 21.
21. Okay. February 2021, he came and taught a class at the police department that I worked for at the time, which I was an attendee, a student. We got to talking about hunting and guns and some of the stupid stuff that we've done in our past. And we kind of made it a crusade to go to each other's backyards eventually and hunt critters. So that's how I ended up here. Earlier in the year, Jacob and his wife hunted elk in Idaho, and we've had an interesting 8 days in Hell's Canyon. So we'll talk about that more another time. And then along the way, Jacob and I had a text string going on about this trip, and included in that string was Squatch. We kind of made it a group text, and we started going back and forth about what this trip kind of was going to look like. I don't know, 7 months ago.
It's been a while. We've been talking about smokeless muzzleloaders and white-tailed deer in the mountains.
For quite a while. Yeah, and as part of this process, I actually ended up building a smokeless muzzleloader, which we'll cover another time, but suffice to say I was probably overgunned for this particular trip. I brought a battleship to a river battle, as they say. So, but it was still fun. I had a good time. And lessons were learned on this deal. Let's talk about this trip a little bit. Bring it to you, Jacob, real quick, and start with you on this. What led to wanting to have an Idaho redneck come to your neck of the woods?
Well, I got to be honest, you and I just hit it off in that class, and once we got to talking about guns and cartridges, it really kind of a bromance got started there. And, you know, anybody who is as passionate about hunting and shooting and doing all this type of stuff is just, it warms my heart. But, we connected on a professional level and a hobby level, and I, I can't get more satisfaction out of hunting than sharing it. And when you expressed your interest to, come to the east and hunt eastern whitetail, you can get whitetail in Idaho. But if I could get elk in Virginia, which is on a tiny possibility, I'd still go to Idaho to try that. So being able to work with one another and swap hunts like that, I think that's great.
And I think elk is on the agenda for the upcoming next couple of years, correct?
Sure hope so.
I figured so. And we threw you into the mix, bud. You kind of got tossed into the group of knuckleheads that are we. And I have to tell you, I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to come run around the public lands with you. That was an experience that I will not ever forget. By virtue of the fact that I was unexpected. The help that you provided, and your willingness to kind of go with the flow and take this knucklehead from the Northwest out with you was above and beyond. So, and I do appreciate that. It takes a lot to take somebody you don't know and haven't met in the past, except on text message string, out to some of your places that you hunt and trust that information is going to be sacred. And I promise you it is. So, I'm going to have you just talk about your side of this hunt for a little bit and just how it went for you. And let's talk about the two adventures that we shared. I'm going to let you do it because it's your adventure.
Well, initially, Jake had kind of brought me into the deal because of the smokeless muzzleloading, and then I think originally you was wanting to humor trying tree saddle setup and stuff like that, and which I have some experience with that because I basically exclusively hunt out of one, and have for some time, and that's kind of where I got drug into it somewhat, but just, and I felt like I could get you a shot, and I'd said that, time and time over again, and just honestly trying. I have an index of a few places that's pretty solid. You just have to figure out what's kind of going on, but straight out of the gate, I guess you and Jake had arrived, or I guess you arrived, Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Saturday evening, and of course you guys went out Sunday morning, and I ended up going to a place on my own that I'd had several years of history with, and I ended up running into one, and ended up shooting one, and sent you guys a picture of a blood trail, and that kind of morphed into you guys jumping in the truck and heading my way, and I had to come out and get you guys because of just the places you just can't get into it other than with a real small pickup truck, and
even then, it was a little suspect.
I mean, it was tight. I mean, and I had the disclaimer about it too.
I wasn't worried, but I was like, "Whoa, there's there were door handle curving places, man. We're touching the wall."
But yeah, we started back into country that I'd shot it in. I'd brought everything out to the truck anyways, so we could go in light, and we got back up and around the top where I'd killed the deer, and we was talking about packing it and whatever, and you grabbed a knife and you started working on it, and I was like, well, I kind of feel bad right here because this man's going at it.
That's what I do, man.
I was like, I can help you with that. That's what I live for this.
I do. Factual.
So I mean, all I was gonna do is hand you a bag. I wasn't gonna get in your way. So that's, and then of course we started out of there and got that deer out, and of course, we talked about going to another place Monday, and I was like, well, I think I'm probably need, a day to get myself back together. And said, looking at Tuesday, you know, Tuesday seemed better. And of course, I told you guys originally from the start, I'm like, Tuesday's the day, anyways, because there was a big spike in barometric pressure and everything. I was kind of watching it, and it was kind of more the back side of the front that we was dealing with, anyways. So we elected Tuesday was the day, and of course, I'd kind of give you the heads up of like, this place is, so it's steep, it's rough, but you should be accustomed to that basically, because where you come from, I mean, it's just walking out the back door, but
it is too.
but I started in there, and I mean, you was probably thinking, well, this is easy, because we was, easy road walking for a bit, and then whenever we started up, and I ended up hitting a little bit off on my line by my track that I originally had, and I kind of had me a little bit of a path cut up through there, but we ended up a point over from where we needed to kind of be, and we got in some pretty thick stuff, pretty steep stuff, fighting through it. And of course, this is probably where you realized how big your gun was, is trying to fight through this mess.
It was, a little long.
But we made do. We got up and around where we needed to be, and we kind of split ways. I stayed wherever we split. There was a certain spot on the side of the mountain. It's basically a bench where some things come together, and I sent you on out further to a spot that I and told you over again that if I had to bet, that's where I would bet, more so than where I was at. But
and to be fair, when I walked in there, I started tracking a buck in the snow right out of the gate, and running into him in his bed at 60 yards, and I just ended up passing with him. He's just a small 3x3. So, basket buck, I let him go, and then I got down the bottom, and another doe and a spike came in later. So clearly there's deer in the spot you sent me. It just,
And it may have materialized a little later in the morning. I myself am a big believer in late morning, midday, even 1, 2 o'clock in some of these spots, especially deep and high up. But, and the spot we elected to take, we was fairly wind sheltered, and it being a sunnier side, because it was brutally cold for kind of what we have been for weather. I think when I started out, it was about 19 degrees that morning, and
and we had a wind chill down around 0.
So it was
cold.
it was cold, but we was on the wind sheltered side of this ridge or face. I consider it a face because it's so steep in there, and
I would agree. And I'll be honest with you, the spot that we were sitting in was every bit as steep as anything I've hunted in Hell's Canyon, for sure.
So, there's some rough country around here, and that's what makes it good. But I elected to climb up basically where me and Brian split off, and just due to ground scent too, I could cover our back track basically where I was at, and of course I climbed up a couple sticks high. I kind of went in light, 2 sticks with 8ers on them. I don't know, and I may have been about 12 feet, and just kind of surviving at that point, as cold as it was, with the wind the way it was hammered down. Of course, we did finally get some sunshine, and of course there was some clouds that come along here and there and kind of block it, and it was kind of bumming you out whenever it would block it.
It didn't really seem to help.
I could tell a little bit of difference whenever it was full on sun. I was like, this is all right. But ended up seeing a spike come from Brian's way, and it may have been a deer that he had heard out there, but he ended up getting in behind me. He got my wind just a little bit, but and kind of boogered out, but not bad. Ended up seeing another deer later across the bench down below me. I don't know if it was the same deer or not. And after a little bit, there I caught a glimpse of a doe that was kind of headed toward me from out of the mountain there, and she was moving at a little bit quicker pace, almost like she was being trailed. And so I really started to pay attention right about then, because I knew it was a good chance that there was probably a buck behind her. And honestly, he may have been 5 minutes behind her. And she'd actually got in there below where me and you'd come up and hit our ground scent a little bit. And she was kind of getting just a little bit leery, but whenever and then I see a buck come out across, expose himself it's pretty jagged, and there's rocks and stuff, and it's fairly thick from where he come from. And then I see him appear, and I could tell he was a pretty good deer from just glimpses. And I knew that was something it's what we was looking for, basically. But, and I was starting to state my mantras to myself to try to make this happen, because I have choked in this situation a few times. Or rush shots, placed bad shots, missed, stuff like that. But let the deer work in and got him in a pretty good lane, and trying to talk myself through it. Super cold. I was half froze in this whole situation. Plus, I was shook up after I seen him. So.
Yeah, your knees were still wobbly when I got there. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it was, like I said, I was half froze.
You blame it on the cold all you want.
But deer stepped in the lane. He slightly quartered away. Got the reticle on him and pulled the trigger. I actually ended up watching him fall within sight, and it was a pretty killer deal whenever it went down, because, like I said, I've been here before and I've not come out as well. And it was good to see him fall right there where he was. Of course, sent you a text. I think you'd sent me one first.
Yeah, so I'm like, but I just all I sent was buck down with a question mark, and you sent me back, he's a stud, dude. I'm like, I'm back in my gear, I'm on my way.
Well, I don't feel like I lied to you.
You did not.
So,
on my way.
I try to get myself together. I sent a few text messages. Some other buddies actually ended up having enough signal in there to communicate where we was up high enough. But I finally got myself together, started pulling my set, and eased down there to the deer, and definitely my best. And of course, I texted you at the time. I said you're gonna be over yourself when you get out here and see this.
And I was. What did he tape out at on a rough score?
Just rough scoring. We was taxidermists looked at him. It was around 149 to 150, and that was going off B and C style scoring. So he's definitely a solid deer. He was only about 14 on the inside, but he had 22 and 3/4 inch mains. Wow. And let's see here. I don't remember bases. But 8-inch 2s, 9.5 inch 3s, 7-inch 4s. So he was definitely a stud of a deer, especially for this mountainous country that we're dealing with. But
well, in public land to boot, right? So in the deer densities that you and I've talked about, the deer densities on the public land here are much less than they are on the private land, right? And so to find a buck like that, in effect currently, the buck of a lifetime for you, right?
Definitely, like I said, I may spend another several years trying to get another one of these. I don't know. I hope not, but we'll definitely see. I'm gonna keep trying.
You just never know. And to my side of that, I was just tickled to be a part of it, right? So from my end on that deal, I'm sitting on the mountainside freezing, the same as you were, right? If wind's blowing, I'm off the top of that ridge and looking in this spot where basically with 3 drainages come together, kind of and form a bowl right there in that spot. Watching these 3 drainages, and I hear a gun go off, and muzzleloader go off, and I'm like, oh yeah. So as soon as I got the text message from you, I was already, as soon as I heard the boom go off, I was already packing my gear. Set the rifle down, and I was already moving. And to get over there and to see that buck, and my eyeballs about bugged out of their head when I got there, you were correct. I was beside myself on that. And then, we came up with a plan, and we got it down the hill part of the way. Once we got down off the steepest of that section, we cut him up and packed him out, and we one-tripped that buck out too, to boot. We earned it that day. So, so that was mine and Squatch's time together, and that ended your tags, right? You were done.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was tagged out, so I lost my public land partner. So then we kind of shifted gears, and we started hunting some private land that belongs to Jacob here on another part of the state, part of this area. And that was interesting. I'm just going to get it out of the way right now. So we came up and we hunted one evening and did some management deer. We took a doe off the property on a management tag. I'm going to let you talk about management a little bit, Jacob, too, to be honest, especially on the private land side. I wouldn't be doing doe management on the public land, just there isn't the deer densities to support it.
There's no days that was legal to take them either.
No, okay. So I was going to have you go through doe days too, because that's a foreign concept to those of us out west for sure. So we did that, and that turned out to be successful. And then we came back out here the next day, and things went pear-shaped. But I'll let Jacob talk about doe days and doe management real quick.
So here where we are, things changed some this year, actually quite a bit for us. We traditionally have quite a few doe days, but they are primarily on private land. The deer density is just not there on the national forest to be able to support a great many doe days, so they're very few and far between, understandably so. But Fish and Game in Virginia have for several years really tried to get the total population under control. And on private land, there are plenty of does, plenty of deer. And we really do, at the end of the day, we need to kill more does in this region without question. So even back here on this mountain property where we are right now, there's more does on this side because we're relatively adjacent to agriculture on the other side of the mountain. In fact, while we're sitting here doing this podcast and sitting around a fire, it's very rare to have an opportunity to do that and have a deer snort in the background, because I heard a doe here just a minute ago while Squatch and Brian were talking, and I was listening to her snort. We're in her territory, but there's definitely room here to take several does out. Not a big deal. So I was glad for Brian to be able to do that. So he's got a couple coolers that are flying home with him on his return trip. But amazingly, on private land in this region or this area, this county, we have doe day every day in early muzzleloading, which is 2 weeks, and they extended rifle all the way through to the first week of January, which is typically when all seasons end. So it is 7 straight weeks of rifle, and it is doe day every single day. So I hope that will help spur some does harvested off of private land. Probably won't pull too many more off of this mountain property, but overall, it's a good opportunity for somebody to come and harvest deer. So my main goal when Brian gave me his dates was absolutely to try to first get him some deer to take home to eat, and let him see what the smokeless muzzleloader is capable of, which he did, and that was worth a whole conversation podcast all by itself,
which we are going to do.
which we will do at some point. But then it was time to sit down and focus on some bucks, and I'm all about that. But we've had kind of a hard private land hunt. I think one of the things that has hit us hardest right now has just been weather conditions. Wind has just beat us to death this week. So, but that's what it is for doe days. But it's nice to have those because that's a good way to stock the freezer with high protein, low saturated fat red meat, and that helps a lot of people get through their winter and into next season.
Yeah, so let's talk about the weather real quick. When we planned this trip, the weather was forecasted to be in the 60s, 50s and 60s most every day, and temperatures lows in the upper to mid 30s. And as part of that weather forecast, I had planned on taking 2 to 3 days and go actually out into the national forest and spend some time actually out in the forest in a pack and see if I could find a public land buck the last few days of this trip. Unbeknownst to us, we had a polar vortex blow in from Canada, and it went from 66 degrees the day that we hunted together on Sunday and went and helped Squatch pack out that first buck to 18 degrees that morning with a wind chill of 0 and a skiff of snow on the ground. And it stayed cold and windy even after the storm blew out for the duration. It started to get windy Sunday, and it stayed windy until today, Thursday. And it's been crazy. The wind hasn't been coming from a cardinal direction. It's been coming from every direction, and it's just random and inconsistent and gusting to 40 at times. It's made it tough. So as a result of the weather conditions, I didn't have the gear to go spend the night in the national forest because I didn't pack for those temperatures. So we called an audible and ended up hunting the private land out here on this mountain. And Jacob, you'd been seeing some bucks on camera, correct?
We've got quite a few really nice bucks on camera, without question.
So as a result of that, we made the decision to try a day here. So we came back out, hunted one morning on a place, on a piece of property that a buck was known to frequent. I sat on a blind that was up there. It's, I don't know what, 100 yards around, probably.
Maybe a whole total 100 yards off of the road.
Yeah, right off the main road. And sure enough, at 8:30 in the morning, a really nice 5x5 that they'd seen on camera came underneath the blind I was in, out in the open. In my little brain, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. Safety off, gun goes, poof. Nothing. Just the primer, poof. So, hunting is equal parts preparation, skill, and luck. So luck was in my favor. Preparation was iffy. And skill was probably non-existent in that particular incident. So what had happened was I ended up shooting an animal. I ended up shooting a deer on Monday evening, and had to put a second round in it because it's a muzzleloader. I didn't reload it because we were done for the day. Fast forward to Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. Squatch, when would you and I go out? Tuesday. I hunted Tuesday with an unloaded gun all day. And so I got out here and hunted with an unloaded gun until it mattered. And the gun went pop like a kid's toy. The deer kind of scooted for about 10 or 15 yards, didn't flag, just kind of looked at me and walked away as I tried to decipher what I had done. And then once I put my ramrod down the barrel to see what was going on, to see if it was, what the deal was, I quickly realized it was unloaded. So I'm going to let you guys have it now. Go ahead, Squatch. Hammer down. This is you guys' opportunity to. Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Well, and I clearly asked him later on after the text messages flew. Said, tragedy has struck, Jake says. I said, oh no. I said, does that mean a miss? And then Brian chimes in and says that his gun was not loaded. So I commenced to ask him later, like, so, as we was out yesterday, you're saying you had an empty gun? He says, yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
So as I told him, I'm like, sorry about your luck, but
Dumbass.
I was like, I was kind of glad that the deer that I shot didn't show up on your part
For
because
sure.
you's carrying an empty gun. It's
Yeah.
basically paperweight then, but it's that's the way it goes though. I mean, you get sidetracked and you got a lot of things going on. You've made a harvest. I mean, you get in the mix and things can happen. Especially you've been in a new part of the world. You new people around you somewhat. I mean, I could definitely see it happen. Just as simple as you think it is to say, "Oh, well, my gun's loaded," but I mean, like I said, you're in a whole new world opposed to what you're used to. So, it happens. So, but it was a valuable lesson, I'm sure.
Oh.
And a lot of the forums you'll read, witness marks are everything on muzzleloader ramrods. So, and even myself, I'll even go to the point sometimes if it's just sitting, I'll actually put a piece of tape on it and say loaded on the side of the barrel just so things don't happen or so I know. But because I mean these guns are they're definitely to be treated with respect because you're dealing with a different animal with these things, and things can go bad if you double charge one or something like that. So I mean, I would rather be on the blank side of things than double charging it and making a pipe bomb. Definitely, as for that aspect of things. So that's kind of my input on that.
Well, I appreciate the kind words and the excuses for me, but I'll just pass it off.
So, to add a little injury to injury, I would have to point out that some of the antique long rifles that I have made as early as 1810 actually have witness marks carved in the hickory ramrod so that they could check to make sure and know whether they were loaded or not. But I absolutely 100% cannot fault Brian. I have made mistakes like that in the past, and if you hunt long enough, you deal with muzzleloaders long enough, you do this, you're going to make mistakes. I always kind of refer back to the old Bugs Bunny cartoon when Elmer Fudd was running up and down the stairs trying to get his muzzleloader loaded right and trying to remember the recipe of was it powder first, shot first, or whatever. And sometimes we get very distracted and sidetracked. So I can honestly say, Tuesday, the only way he was going to get his hands on a trophy buck is for Squatch to shoot it for him. So, could have gone worse all the way around. So Andrew jumped in, saved the day, did the dirty work, and got to bust chops and have fun with it, because otherwise we would cry. I would cry, and I actually about did cry when he told me he pulled the trigger on an empty gun on this Big 10 that I've got on camera several times. Got beautiful pictures of this guy. And he's literally the reason that I put Brian in that spot, was because seems very hot. We kind of looked around, saw some major scrape activity, fresh scrape activity, and the conditions, because it's down low, it's under the wind, which helped a great deal. And so things happen. In fact, I'll be totally honest. The whole reason that Squatch and I kind of, hooked up and became friends as such was because I built the first smokeless muzzleloader I ever built for anybody for him, and it was because he had a Thompson Center muzzleloader not go off on him on a monster. So we have all suffered at some point with a muzzleloader and a deer. So unfortunately, it's part of the learning experience, and it's part of the experience. I just hope that hope you've had a good enough time that you're ready to make arrangements, come back next year, and put this on the schedule every time you can.
Yeah, so to kind of add to that, I do actually have witness marks on my ramrod, which is how I figured out it was unloaded. I just didn't check it, nor did I remember that, well, I shot it. And, it made sense. I put it away unloaded because we were going back to the town anyway. It didn't matter at that particular juncture. And so, and the sting of this for me was obviously that buck, right? That's the hard part. But the other side of that too is that I do this muzzleloader thing, and people know that I do it for a reason, because it adds a challenge, and you have to be perfect the first time every time. And if you're not perfect the first time, it's not going to happen. You don't get a follow up in a lot of cases. And yeah, I did not get a follow up. So lesson learned. Had some other little boogaboos happen. We found out a bad batch of primers, which was separate from this. We got that figured out and got back in the field, but it's kind of one thing after the other on Wednesday.
Yeah.
After that, we made a plan to come back out here in the evening. We came back out. The wind just wouldn't quit. I had a deer come in. I could smell tarsal gland. It was certainly a buck, if not that buck, but he never did show himself. Came back this morning, kind of the same plan, because we've been seeing bucks in here. Had a buck come in early and go through the trees. Just never presented a shot for me, not through the brush and the trees and whatnot. And so I just waited him out, hoping he'd come back. And about 2 hours later, in that wind, that shifting wind, he ended up in front of me, and the wind shifted and he blew, and that was the end of that. We came back tonight, and the wind finally laid down tonight. Thank God. It's actually pretty nice right now. It's 40 degrees and calm.
Something like that, but the wind, there's no wind.
There's no wind. It's the smoke. We're sitting in a campfire right now. Smoke's going straight up in the air. You wouldn't have believed the wind earlier this afternoon, but I got nothing came in. However, I did hear a boom in the distance come from behind me, and Jacob killed a, what do you call that here?
That's a 4x4.
It's a 4x4. Thank you. It's a 4-point.
Pretty nice. Hey.
They're calling it 8s and 10s. I'm like, where's 10 come from?
5 plus 5.
5 plus 5. Okay, basic. Common Core math didn't work for me, guys. So, ends up coming back down tonight with the buck in the truck, and we're going to get to working on it here shortly. But talking about this hunt, I want to say a couple things real quick. I appreciate Jacob, you and your wife having me out, and basically taking care of me, babysitting me for a week. It's been fantastic. Already told the wife that I'm headed back as soon as we can make plans and make it work. So, and she's green-lighted that trip. So she's green-lighted it.
She's met us. She knows we're safe.
I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm in good hands. So for your end, I'll be back with a loaded gun this time. And for you, I appreciate, again, as I said, the public land, the opportunity to go hunt with somebody on public land. The information that I gain from you will stay with me and will go to my grave with me. Just so we're clear. But I am coming back and like to do that again, especially in that spot where we went up that mountain. That's a lot like home for me. I actually felt like I was back in North Idaho, to be honest, in the Clearwater area or up in the Priest Lakes area.
And the interesting about this country, real quick sidebar, is that it's the opposite of home. So we have steep country, steep rocky country, and we have evergreens, stands of evergreens, thick as you could imagine. And we have a few scrubby trees, some oaks and some different things in different places, parts of the state, willow trees, locusts, that kind of thing. But they're not big. This is like you took Idaho and turned it inside out. So you've got some kind of scrubby pines, stands of them, and you have gigantic deciduous oaks, and I'm assuming ash trees and just whatever you could.
We've got tons of hardwood.
Yeah, hardwood trees everywhere.
Maple, stuff like that. And hickory trees along with it. But your main food source here is definitely oaks. I mean, that being red oaks, white oaks. There is chestnut oaks here, which they do not tend to favor, that I have found. I mean, I guess if they just really had nothing else to go off of, I mean, there is plenty of browse around with some of the green stuff that we have, the briars, and of course there is mountain laurel and things like that, but they got to be in a pretty bad shape to be kind of eating on that. So your main food source definitely is acorns or mass crop from white oaks and red oaks.
Let's talk about laurel for a minute. Everybody from the West understands what chaparral is. It's an evergreen brush that grows in the West. Moose feed on it. Deer and elk, kind of the same thing. Deer and elk will feed on it in hard times. And it's ever present, and it's super thick, and it'll get 8, 10, 12, 14 feet tall in places, and you can't even crawl through it if you wanted to in some places. I get here and they have this thing called laurel. Laurel for here is chaparral, just with bigger leaves and bigger branches. And it grows so tall you cannot crawl through it, you cannot get through it, you cuss it, you hate it, you want to burn it, and it's the same. So
they love it.
And they love it. They love hiding in it, and they can get through it, and bears get through it and everything else, but we two-legged animals cannot get through it. It was a giant, going up that mountain, dude, there's a couple of places I was like, whoa.
He was like, how much further is there?
This is legit. It's steep, and this sucks. All right, I'm home. Cool. So anyway, that's laurel. But again, to your end, the offer is open to come to Idaho and hunt mule deer or elk anytime you are so inclined to do so. We'll get you on the non-resident draw system and work on getting you a tag in when you're ready, and we'll go do it. I'll take the time. Well, I was going to say I'm going to take the time off. I'm going to be retired by next hunting season, so I'm going to be off next year. But I'll make the time to take you guys out, and we'll go find something to put on the ground.
And we talked about a little bit of bear hunting also, or something of that nature. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, that may be something we'll look at, because honestly, that's been something on my radar a little bit for a little bit of time. That hunt seems awful interesting to me, is the spring bear hunt out west, and having somebody in the know that understands snowpack and everything to go along with that, and how y'all's weather is looking at the time, is that's invaluable information, I would imagine, when it comes to that side of things for bear hunt. So.
Yeah, so actually we can do that, and the bear tag's over the counter. So that's just fly and get off the plane and go. And I do have some pretty good spots where there's bears. So we can certainly do that too, but like, name it and we'll make it happen. That's easy day for me. So get it.
Easier than
come grab you. Yeah, I'd come shag you guys at the airport, and then we'll jump in the truck and we'll head for the hills and go put one on the ground. So we can do that. But that's kind of the Virginia hunt recap. So anything you want to add, Squatch?
No, not really. Not right off that I can think of. It's coming to mind real quick anyways.
Jacob?
I would just say, I've had a lot of fun, and I can say I appreciate you coming and taking hospitality in my business and career. I've had the opportunity a lot to hunt, especially Florida hogs. I've gone saltwater fishing. I've gone freshwater fishing, and had a lot of opportunities outdoors with some of these folks that I meet, and every one of them is just fantastic and memorable, and I appreciate it all. And I always tell them, be careful. Do not invite me to hunt or fish because I'm going to show up. And I always throw that back out, though. You know what? You want to come hunt some deer with me? You want to come hang out in Appalachia and get a little bit of local culture and get in the woods? Then I'm all about you guys coming to me, too. So I'm really, really thrilled you showed up for this. I would also say we've got coyotes howling in the background now, and as well as does snorting and blowing. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Squatch. The other reason I reeled him in was not only for the tree saddle and smokeless muzzleloader input, but also because of the public land. I have never hunted a lot of national forest, so I don't know it like he does. He's kind of shifted away and really put a great deal of emphasis on it, and I don't personally know anybody that knows more about it than him, so I recruited him for that leg. But I mean, I've got to learn some this week too. And then of course, when you and I took our little extra drive, giving you the tour of some new stuff, I got some things to discuss with Squatch now. So we'll have new territory and new hunts coming up, and just really looking forward to the next time already. And this season isn't even over. So, and yeah, I did pull the trigger and let my little smokeless eat this evening, and pulled down a real respectable 4x4, aka 8-pointer, in this neck of the woods, and we'll get him hung up in a tree on the gambrels and just enjoy the rest of the fall and the season. So,
All right, guys. Well, I think that about covers it. Squatch, do you have social media, YouTube, anything anybody can find you?
I do not.
You do not?
I do not have any form of it. I'm kind of reclusive and kind of hidden, kind of like a Sasquatch or something like that, since I get called that. And I will add, if anybody is ever in question, Brian Ledecky, he's a man. And as much as I've used him as a pack mule this week, I mean, he's a man, because there was times I wanted to lay in the trail and want to die, and he's just standing there with his sunglasses on, just looking at me. So, I mean, if you ever need anybody to pack something out for you, he's a pretty good guy to call.
My gun's unloaded anyway.
Yeah, he don't do much shooting, so he's definitely handy with a knife. I've seen it firsthand, and definitely can load a pack. And that was one of the things that I was kind of looking forward to, not so much trying to use him as in that sense, is just more of an education, because I know Western style hunting is it's more pack based, using a pack and knowing how to load it and everything else. I mean, around here, it's there's only a select few that's even kind of venturing around with packing them out. And I mean, of course, and even most guys here, they're not in ground that that they feel like they need to. And it's definitely an intimidating thing if you've never done it before and trying to work one up on the ground. So definitely appreciate the education from that. And I thanked him multiple times over up in the mountain for that, but he's a great guy to have around. So
It's all good, buddy. I live for that, and I'll be honest with you, I was a guest in your guys' backyard, and so the least I could do is come out and do that. And the best part about this whole thing for me is that I'm getting on a plane early Saturday morning, and have a new set of hunting buddies. So, and finding a good hunting buddy is harder than finding a good wife, and so it's just what it is. So, Invitation's open, dude, and anytime you want to come out, we will go and traipse into the West Central Mountains or in the Clearwater and go find us a bear or whatever to put on the ground. So, and then obviously a testament to Exo Mountain Sports, right?
Definitely.
We abused our packs this weekend, for sure. So, anyway, I think that wraps it up. Have a good one.
Live out here for the rest of my days.